Most people aren't interested in fitness. And if you've done calisthenics for any amount of time, you'll realize that that's even more of a niche subcategory of fitness. So if you're someone who can't find people in your school, find people in your community, like the area that you live, and you're finding it difficult to make friends and connect with people through calisthenics, this video is for you. My name is Brandon, and in this video, I'm going to be going over the things that have helped me in this case because I've experienced this myself, and also my recommendation for you. So just to give a little bit of background, I started calisthenics around 8 to 10 to maybe even a year ago now. And when I was getting into it, I was telling all my gym buddies, like, hey, I'm gonna learn all these cool skills. I was like a mixture between like a power lifter and kind of a bodybuilder, but a little bit different. Like if you've ever heard of power building, it's that type of thing. And I remember all of them were super like into it. They're like, yeah, man, you're going to be able to like bench like 225, but also like do handstand push-ups. That's going to be so cool, man. You're going to learn the planche. Woo! And then as I progressed, as I stopped doing the more traditional gym splits, gym lifts, it was more difficult for me to work out with my friends. You know how sometimes when like you and your friend have the same day, like you both do pull on the same day, you just pick one of each other's workouts and you just can work out together. If you've never experienced that, then I highly recommend, if you do meet people who you can relate to in this way, just working out with them, or someone who's less experienced with you. If you know how to do handstand push-ups, for example, you can invite one of your friends to do a handstand workout with you, and you can do your handstand push-ups. You can teach them how to hold a handstand, and you guys can just have fun, goof off, that type of thing. I started to realize that as I was progressing, as I was getting more serious, after I got to around 50 pounds unweighted pull-ups, people stopped complimenting my achievements as, whoa, that's crazy, real good job. And they started to say, okay, now you're just bragging at this point. We get it, you're strong. Once I started being able to do skills, when I got my first handstand push-up, there wasn't as much celebration as you'd expect if you're spending weeks and weeks and weeks trying to get like a specific skill, and someone sitting there like constantly telling you like, yeah, you can do it, just gotta trust the process, yeah, like whatever. And then you get in there like, oh yeah, good job. And then afterwards, they magically just don't care anymore. This is a separation between regular gym goers and the typical calisthenics athlete. And it's not necessarily these people's fault for how you feel or how you get treated, whatever. You should be an adult and you should go, okay, we have differences of like modalities. They're obviously not going to care as much as I am about my achievement. And if they're your friends, honestly, they really should, but most people don't. Even people who are quote unquote good friends typically won't care that much when you succeed really big, unless they purposefully make it like a part of their personality to care for other people in that way. So here's what I did to combat this. When I had started out, I had bought a program, which is how I learned everything. That's how I got like a decent bit of like my fundamentals. And then I added my already tons and tons of fitness knowledge on top of it, and I made it even better. I had bought a program, and in that program, there was a community that was linked with it. What I did was I simply reached out to 20 people, spoke to all of them, and then formed a group chat where we would all talk about our own training, or all talk about our knowledge, or we would talk about just everything that had to do with ourselves. We would talk about life, our training, our fitness. And using this is going to be a little bit different than the solution that I give you, but using this, you can actually just pick the people you want to talk to anyway. So let's say you're into fitness and you're into coding. You can talk to the people who do fitness but also code. You don't have to talk to the guy who does fitness but is into music. You can if you're interested in it, or that guy's a cool guy and that difference of like hobbies doesn't bother you. But you can pick who you speak to, where when it's in school, whether it's in your community, you kind of have to talk to the people you're around. Do you ever notice like when you're in school or something and you have a certain table you get assigned and you're best friends with those guys, but you don't speak with them at all when you're outside of that class? You ever notice that? And over the summer, you don't speak to them. And then when you get back to school, you kind of like say hi to each other on the first day, and then you never talk to each other again. With the online approach that I had, I got to pick who I talked to, and those people wanted to talk to me. I wanted to talk to those people because we weren't forced to be near each other. It's 2 buttons to block someone. It's 2 buttons to kick someone from the group. We all wanted to be together and be in one tight-knit community because that's what we valued, and those were the people that we wanted to hang out with. And nobody had beef. In school, in your community, in clubs and gyms that I've seen, like personally, I've heard stories from my friends that like when 2 people go into the gym at the same time or like from the same school or whatever who don't like each other, there's genuine like fist fights, which is crazy to think about. But you have to understand that these people don't choose to be near each other, but they are because of the location that they were born, because of the school, because of what they randomly got assigned in class. When it's online, you get to pick what you want to do. So what's my solution for you? We're going over that now. Here's your piece of paper. This is my entire script, by the way. What do I suggest that you do? I suggest you join an online community where you can go in, you can message people privately, and then you can pick the people who you want to speak to and respond to. So just an example, this is kind of an advertisement for my community. I'm not even gonna lie. My community, GUO, Get Us Out Calisthenics. So it stands for, GUO stands for Get Us Out, and then it's a calisthenics community. It's centered around getting you out of a life that you don't like and getting you into a life that you do like, starting with calisthenics. In my community, I would highly recommend people who do decide to join. That may be you, that may not be. I'm just telling you something you could do. It doesn't have to be my community specifically. I just want you to be around the people that you want to be around. And if my community doesn't fit you, that's completely fine. My community is centered around calisthenics and self-improvement. If you're into those 2 things, my community is for you. If you're not into self-improvement and you're not into calisthenics, or you're just a self-improvement guy who wanted to see this video because you thought it was interesting and it's like a smaller YouTuber and you're a smaller YouTuber and you wanted someone to relate to, then I understand that also. But when you join a community online, you get to pick who you speak to because there's a very simple thing called a block button. If you don't want to talk to someone, you don't have to. And if you don't want to speak to someone, you can just ignore them. Because in person, if someone comes up to you, depending on like how physical they want to be, they can force you to talk to them. And it's a lot more uncomfortable in person, rather to just ignore them. Because if someone comes right in your face right here and says, hey man, what's up? How you doing today? And you just don't like the guy because he's weird, which whatever, you should be nice to him, but still some people just don't vibe like that. If that's the case, then you kind of have to sit there and be like, oh man, yeah, I'm good. How are you? You like shove him out of the way. Now you have people mad at you because his friends like get on you. And like now there's a fight ready to start. Online, if you just don't respond to the person, yeah, they can spam you, but they only have such a long attention span. So the perks of the online space versus in-person space, the only thing that in-person has over online is that it's in person. Online, when doing communities like this, because a lot of people like to argue, like, what if it's a fake person? You don't get that when it comes to like self-improvement or like fitness stuff. I would bet 99% of people, more than, are actual real people, not behind like a fake persona. And those people are really easy to spot. Believe me, they are. If something doesn't seem right, something's probably not right. In person, the only real benefit is that it's in person. You get to have like that physical, like bro, like fist bump connection with them. Online, you can hang out with exactly who you want to hang out with. You can schedule calls, you can message them. It's someone that you wouldn't otherwise meet unless it was online. Because if your best friend is in the Netherlands and you live in the United States, you would have never met your future best friend if you didn't join that online space. So this is why it's so important to do online also. In person is fantastic. You need in person, but online especially, that's the thing that is going to set you apart. And especially if you don't know anyone in person, this is the thing that's going to save like your mental health when it comes to being motivated and wanting to progress, having people push you. Because I think everybody knows at this point, if you want the 5 people you spend the most time with, or this is the person you become, you're the sum of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. If you're around a bunch of people who are motivated, who are dedicated, who are all admitting to be driven to whatever they're trying to do, then Why wouldn't you want to be in that space if you want the results that they're all looking for? And sure, and the bigger the space, the more idiots there are. I've noticed this a lot with self-improvement communities. But the bigger the space is, the more chance there is for there to be someone you like. So here's my call to action for you. Go into the link in the description, sign up for the school community, join it. It's only going to be free for a temporary amount of time. This has been Brandon. Keep doing the best at doing your best. Trust God. Fist bump. Signing off.